on for some time. Something about the world ain't right. The darkness lives in plain sight. In the ether, adjust your eyes. There are those that have no clue. You give them hints, they just stare at you. Most have lived in Plato's cave, watching.
Welcome, everybody. Today I am here with Darinka, whom Scott and I met while we were in Costa Rica. She's a friend of Carol Frieson's. She's very awake to what's going on and the energies in the world. She's an artist and painter for almost 40 years now. And that was one of her works at the front, at the in the thumbnail, if you will. And it did say 7:20, and we know it's 6:20. So anyway, Scott is traveling and could not get back to fix that, but that's all right. Darinka, welcome to Truth Stream, and it's an honor to have you on the show.
Thank you so much, Joe. I'm really, really excited to be here.
Yeah.
Can we do my name? It's Darinka.
Right. See? Darinka. And how do you say your last name, just so I get that right? Too?
Blagaj.
See? There we go, everybody.
It's a Croatian name, Darinka Blagaj. And you know, when I moved to Canada with my family, I stuck with it.
Well, there we go. Well, we met you, and behind you is actually the river that Scott and I got to swim in. And oh my gosh, it was the most, the way that it's laid out with the pools and how you can sit in the river and have the water flow over your back. I mean, it was a very magical place. So, and you get to be there every day. At least when you're in Costa Rica, because I know you travel as well.
Yeah.
So, but let's it really is. I know from firsthand. But let's start. Where do you want to start with your journey? Either being an artist or your awakening journey, or wherever you want to start. The floor is yours.
Okay. So listen, when I was about 4 or 5 years old, I had a near death. It was an accidental kind of drowning. It was in Austria. And that's when I realized things are not the way they appear to be because I was at the bottom of the river and I was looking around, didn't leave my body. I like my body. And the stream of light was coming in, the sunlight. It was so pure and so magical. So my body had that awakened bliss inside it, like all my cells. It's like I just completely remembered everything. And I was breathing water, not great for the physical body. And I saw this fish swim by, and I looked into the fish's eye, and I knew that that fish was me, and I was that fish. So I knew the mirror reflex of this reality. And then I was rescued and coughed like crazy and panic and, you know, crazy stuff of being human. And I never forgot that. That is, I can't be dissuaded. Let's put it that way. I just, I cannot be dissuaded. I am purely intact in a love field. And so from there, our family moved eventually to Canada. So I grew up a lot in Canada. And in Toronto, and that's a super multicultural city. So being Croatian, speaking German from Austria, and Croatian, no English, and thrown right into the school system. And it was a trip, you know, it was very different in those days. That was 1970. And what was on the radio was, "This is the dawning of the age of Aquarius. Age of Aquarius." And I was like, wow. So in my family, I couldn't really share a lot of that energy that I would always feel and see. I could look at people. I knew if they were lying or not lying. I didn't know why they were lying. It was kind of curious to me. So it's just that transparency that's available to everyone. Every child can see everything. And that is such a great thing to know and to remember, and to imbue yourself with that memory that you are that child, and that child is always there. because it's an awareness. And so the whole art journey came a little bit later. I drew with my mom. She really is a great artist, and she never got to explore it very much. But she did some drawings for me when I was little, and gave me some awe, of that form. And then my father's a master craftsman. He was a woodworker. So the creativity is in the family in different ways, just not able to be expressed so much as immigrants, coming to a new country with 2 little kids. And so the journey from there, for me personally as an artist, a lot of things opened up for me in my teens when I was being a lifeguard at a pool. And the same kids were coming, and they're from a building, and I thought, I can see what they're doing. Half of them aren't even in the water. Why don't I draw them? And I started to bring a pencil and just a pad, and I just drew them. And I did that all day long for that whole summer. And of course, all the kids wanted to pose. Nobody was in the pool. And so that was like, it was like a very fun adventure with kids. And so then when I was 18, I helped an art studio develop a kids program. And I showed kids how easy it was to draw something that you're looking at on a flat piece of paper. So this whole idea of everyone getting kind of shut down, when they're very little, whether it's musically, oh, you can't sing, you're tone deaf, oh, you can't play anything, you don't know how to do anything. This kind of stuff, this has to stop, And what we need to do is really compassionately come into that love of curiosity and discovery. And like, this moment right now is only here now. That's it. And then the next moment, it's only there now. So it's like everything is being reset constantly. And if you want to talk quantum, any quantum, and I know a lot about maths and quantum computing. I'm kind of I call myself a creative tsunami because it was a name given to me by someone who was looking through my field and my work long time ago and said, "Oh my God."
I love that. That's fantastic.
And so that's me. I am a creative tsunami, and in many fields. And by that I mean with art, I do performance art, and I do stuff with my voice vocally, and then I play in awakening and consciousness and seeing what's going on and how I can contribute and build projects for that too. So with kids, I feel like the kid that we are on the inside has really all the energy, but yet not the vocabulary. And you can really look at that from the point of view of like, okay, so you can't talk when you first come out. You can make sounds, but you don't know the language yet. And I've gone through 5 languages in my lifetime, and a language is a paradigm. It lives inside a field. It's not it's not something you ignore when you speak more than one language, because when you hear a language, you can also hear the culture in the language, what is soft in that language, what is hard in that language, what's valued in that culture, what's suppressed. Like, it's all in the language. It's pretty interesting. So I developed this language of art, this visual vocabulary is what I call it. And years ago, I had a festival called Alela for 12 years where I brought creatives together. So it was an expressive and healing arts festival. And I started to test out my program, which is called Art Breath. Because I found
where did you have that festival?
Oh, the festival was outside of Toronto on in the Muskokas. So it's basically an area that's extremely beautiful, and it has very strong natural energy, like super, super strong. And I would bring people from the city out. And this would be like business people, like businessmen who never draw, and really don't play drums. And we were playing drums, dancing, drawing, canoeing, and just having this incredible energy together. So I brought out Art Breath, and I realized I could read people's drawings as I could read energetically psychic things, what people call psychic things. They're not really psychic. It's just more information than most people are willing to, number one, look at. Number two, realize that it's actually real because when they experience it in some way, there's some kind of reality to it, whether they've been told there is or not. And then, so I started to do that to people, to people's work. And I got them to do one piece, just expressive. And people were like, oh, I don't know what to draw. And so on my platforms, you'll see Art Breath Live. So there's times of the year when I go on live for 10 days in a row. And I just put the computer camera down onto the page and I just draw live. And the whole point is just to do it. Doesn't matter what you're doing, but what you are doing is building vocabulary, because we have a brain that can't go from judging to new stuff very quickly, because its whole job, and we've used our brain completely the wrong way, and we're about to use our brain the right way. So the right way is relaxed. The right way isn't, the right way is relaxed and allowing breath in the body, and then allowing curiosity and spontaneity and inspiration. And that only happens once you can shift brains. And so people talk about ADHD, and I always think it's very funny, because in my opinion, my experience in it is I would have massive ADHD, I think, on some level, because I'm either very, very right-brained or very, very left-brained. And I know how to go to those really extreme edges of each thing. And I'm sure you know what I'm talking about, right? It's that incredible, when you're making music or you're creating or you're dancing or you're just out in the woods, that is your right brain just having a great time. And you're intuitive and getting messages. And then your left brain is oh, wow, okay, I got to do this task and I have to now deal with this particular situation, or I got to plan the schedule. That's all on the other side. So that's also the side a lot of times where we have to deal with money and how money and funding has happened in our lives. So it's we've been pulled, and language is there too. We've been pulled a lot to the one side, right? And what I found is when people relax a little bit and have the opportunity to be with a little bit of creativity, suddenly the other side is awakened. And I believe that awakening is very important now and very powerful. Oh, you're muted, I think.
Yeah, sometimes there's noises in the back and I don't want them to overtake. What do you see happening now with humanity being able to tap in to our creativity in the way that was intended? How do you see that unfolding, if you will?
I'm going to answer from my heart, because I feel I could give you a brain answer for this one, but I don't think it's relevant.
Okay, beautiful.
There's something really special about stillness. When you get really quiet and don't move, your whole body drops in. And when you drop in, you're no longer in the same time signature or reality, okay? You are going from this window here, which you're operating from, and suddenly you're going here. Now, suddenly you're letting yourself realize how much more is happening right now. So I believe this is what's happening to humanity. We are in this and we're focusing out to this. How that looks in everybody's life is according to what they choose and how their free will is really. Sometimes free will can be actually not so free because it's being pinned to something. You're believing that something has your free will. It never does, but you believe it does. And when you believe it does, guess what? It does. So free will is completely free. If you can give it to yourself, you can live through it in life. And this is what we are starting to experience as the awakening as well. So if you can give yourself those moments of quiet, stillness, self-love, and nurturing, those are automatic settings in your system. You don't have to do anything. Literally, you do nothing, okay? But in that nothing, what arises in that nothing is the purity of what you are. And you're not just this body, and you're not just this one personality. You are this grand being, focused really tight on this particular moment. And as soon as you zoom out, you realize that the moment is a lot bigger and there's a lot more potential. And this is what's happening on one level. And I believe on another level, some people don't know what the heck I'm talking about. My kids sometimes are like, oh! You know, I have two amazing children who were homeschooled a lot and had a lot of very, very alternative experiences in their lives. And, you know, sometimes it takes years for certain experiences to round out and show themselves in everyday life. And that has
Absolutely.
to do with the way the personality develops, and, you know, what's allowed, what's not allowed, what's stifled, what's open, you know, all that sort of stuff in life. But here's the amazing thing. It's everyone has a vocabulary, you know, it's very personal. We think we're speaking the same language, but we're not. And art is exactly the same. Everyone alive has a visual, creative vocabulary, or a musical vocabulary, or a body dance vocabulary. Like, so what's important and what I see unfolding in the world is creativity rising. And
Beautiful.
with creativity rising, we actually have more compassion, more love, and more centeredness in a bigger way, not like a little center, but the centeredness of our bigger self. So look at it this way. We all know what an arrow does, right?
Yep.
How much attention do we pay to the mist that nourishes the whole forest?
Right. That's a great point. Great question.
So you shoot an arrow through the woods. Nice, okay. And then you got the mist, and it surrounds you. And being in this area with a lot of moisture and, you know, lots of mist at different times of the day and night, I've really started to imbue this into my being, to stop doubting, stop judging, because judging can only get you what you judged. It can't get you anything else. And by get, I mean you won't encounter anything else.
Right.
And as time moves, as we move into this shift, it's going to be even harder to judge, because the hit is going to be so fast. Like the comeback of it is so fast. So you're going to realize that you are denying yourself love when you judge another one, their actions, their being, their personality, their whatever. It doesn't matter, you know. The point right now is to keep your focus in love. And love isn't wimpy, okay? Love is not a wimp. Like, love is intense.
Yeah.
So it's powerful. Like, love can be, you know, you go out into the woods, you have to pay attention, you know. You can't just like blah, 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 and like, oh, I'm just in love and be, you know, completely out. You have to be focused, because there are things that you're addressing. Things are happening in the moment. And that's the same as when you live anywhere. Like, you can assume that you know everything that's going on in your reality, and it will not change. Or you can, like this frame of reference we have here on the computer, you can have a new frame of reference. And for me, like every page, you know, everything, it's a frame of reference. It's like, yeah, there it is. And that frame of reference can change your opinion. And in neuroscience, when you walk through a doorway, you immediately have an opportunity to change something.
Right. Right. I love what you said about, you know, that sometimes it can take years for either you or family members to see aspects of what it is that either we're trying to communicate or what have you. Because I think you speak with it, so many artists can relate to what you're saying, because, you know, it's the left brain, right brain, and this society has really kept us in this struggle of, you know, if you're constantly worried about finances and stressed out about that, it's harder and to tap into the part of you that just wants to be playful and joyful and creative. And I think that's that struggle. I mean, I've felt that at times.
I feel it all the time. But you know, you got the right word. The word is struggle. It's buying into struggle.
Right.
That's what it is.
Right.
It's not that the society does that. Sure, it does. It's designed for that. You know, it's designed to put an oppressive frequency out that here's, you know, here's who's in control and here's the others, right?
Mhm.
And I mean, it's an idea that has been sold now for quite a while, and it's idea that's, you know, the end has come to that idea. Like, it's been explored to the nth. Done.
Yeah.
Not interesting. So yeah, to get from one phase to another, the reason I really like to speak about creativity in this broad way is because it imbues every part of you. Like, you know, we all love like Monty Python. Remember the silly walks?
Yeah.
Like, we see that and we go, oh my God. And like, life is laughing. Like, life is, you know, it's hilarious. And a lot of things that look kind of serious are also pretty funny because they're so narrow, you know. And if you can just notice how narrow it is, the slightest bit of noticing in any moment will actually help you, instead of like pouncing on the moment emotionally.
Right.
You pull back a little bit and just observe a detail that you might have never, somebody's yelling at you. You might just observe a detail, like the cool way that person's mouth moves.
That's a really good point.
And you could be focused on the cool way that mouth works. It's like,
yeah,
wow.
Try to get the best out of that moment. That's great.
Yeah, like try to find something interesting for you.
Right.
It may not be interesting to anybody else, but you might be interested in it. And you can maintain your own frequency. I told my kids a long time ago, when someone is yelling at you, they're yelling at themselves. You just happen to be there, you know, as the mirror for that particular moment, right? And so I think it's important to make yourself have a good time somehow. Decide that.
Agreed. Well, and speaking of a good time, you know, when I first noticed your artwork, and what will bring this piece up, I have a song that I put out a few years back, and it was, you know, in regard to the pandemic, and plandemic, as you and I probably call it. And you know, you couldn't really, they weren't allowing you to hug each other, or that was the narrative, or, you know, going to hospitals, etc. And so that was the song. And thank you for donating your artwork to the new cover, and I'll share that with folks in a second. But I was really struck by the colors that you use and the feeling that we get from your artwork. So if you want to talk about how, you know, maybe how you got into the painting, and now that you've been painting for, and you'll let folks know the number of the decades of years that you've been painting. I love them to see some of your artwork as well, because it really, there's a bit of a, in my opinion, my unprofessional opinion, a bit of a Picasso vibe to your work, and it's really lovely and wonderful. So I'd love you to talk a little bit about the journey of this painting specifically, and then showcase some of your artwork. Would be great.
Okay, so I began drawing, like I said, quite like in my teens, and then it kind of pulled off away for a bit, and I wanted to do some painting, and so I began. But drawing for me is really a very pure form, and painting, it takes a bit longer. It takes longer to dry. So there's two vocabularies there in drawing and painting. And if you look through artists in the past who've developed different styles, their drawings tend to be templates for their paintings. It's like, I'm doing the sketch, and then I'm going to take that and I'm going to put it over here. It's never worked that way for me. I have tried that method, but that doesn't work. For me, every piece is now. And people look at my work and they say, that is crazy. How does that happen? And you have so many styles. And I said, they're not styles, they're vocabulary. I explore the vocabulary. And so when I first began, that's how I created Art Breath, is I began to explore vocabulary by letting myself draw and paint whatever I wanted, and make squishy stuff with clay and assemble stuff. I wanted to just do that for the fun of it, you know, and about 20 minutes to 40 minutes, I would just do it kind of regularly. And I noticed, and afterwards I would do like a stream of consciousness writing. And it started off in a class by the man who actually created, so people have all of these different expressive arts type classes, you know, and he's the one that created that. So he was the professor, he was 87. This was in university in Toronto. And I got to it and I realized, oh, he's a professor, but he's a professor of psychiatry and psychology. He's not an artist, but he's noticing that art is pulling out emotions in such an interesting way.
Right.
And so he's giving people a chance to express their emotions. So art therapy was born, and it's a great form. So I went beyond that form thinking, okay, well, I'll get the emotions out. And a lot of that, you know, the result of those emotions coming out isn't the same as the result of art you make that is inspired. It's a different kind of art. And so therapy is one level, and then another level is pure inspiration. And pure inspiration comes through experience. So I'll give you an experience of one piece that I did. So let's look at this blue one here. The water goddess. Can I pull it up for you, or do you pull it up? So here's the water goddess, done in 1993. I had gone to Honduras, to an island called Roatan. I had a crazy experience in the ocean where I was snorkeling and had walked like 4 miles in the hot of sun. So I was a little delirious by the time I got to where I was snorkeling. So snorkeling, and you know, it's only 4 feet down, so you're seeing all the fish and everything. It's exciting. And then suddenly I was in the blue and I didn't know what happened. Like, I didn't see any fish. I didn't see any ground. I didn't see anything except blue.
Right.
It turned out there was a cliff wall, a 200-foot drop wall, and I had crossed over it. I was like Nemo, like, boom, you know, right out there.
Wow.
So I said, oh my God. So of course I went backwards, like, you know, and then I realized I saw the, you know, the drop and everything. So when I got back to Toronto to my studio, I started this painting. I said, I'm going to paint what I met in that moment. Now, this is where trust comes in. And this is the foundation of my art, is trusting that with the intention, I move 100% into flow, no inhibition. And so this piece became, you know, this blue, 4 different types of blues you don't necessarily use together. Very difficult to photograph. This isn't even an accurate photograph of it. But nevertheless, this goddess came out, and she's the water goddess. And the way her face and her whole body was pretty much there, but her face wasn't there, but I couldn't see it. I wasn't able to see there was a being in there. And I was on the phone 2 weeks later talking to someone. And you know, when you're just staring in the distance when you're talking on the phone? Well, I was staring at the painting and her face appeared as if it was projected. So it was the first painting ever where I could see interdimensionally.
So cool.
And you know, the wild thing is that I couldn't get my eyes off of her face because I knew if I had moved my gaze, I would lose it.
Mm-hmm.
And so I kept my eyes on that spot where, you know, on her face. And I have to tell you, I picked up my brush without moving my eyes from where she is. And I just delineated her face as I saw it.
Wow.
That's a real thing. Michelangelo used to say that, oh, I just got to, you know, move the rubble because the sculpture's already in there. Well, that is a reality.
Oh my gosh, that's so cool.
That to me was my absolute initiation. You know, it was so vibey that I couldn't believe it. Like I was beside myself. Like after that happened, I was like, so you don't have to learn how to draw, and you don't have to learn how to do this, and you don't have to do that. It's actually there when you ask for it, and when you focus and let it happen and let it surprise you whenever it wants to surprise you.
Right. Yeah.
You know, being able to. Sorry, go ahead.
We're getting a comment that people are relating to what you're saying. I went from planning my artwork to just letting go and doing it organically, and I evolved as an artist, is the comment. So
nice. Absolutely. And I believe that's what, when we're young, we don't have a big enough vocabulary yet, you know, and lots of times we don't actually get materials that are very good when we're young to express ourselves visually. Most kids get these really annoying crayons. I hate crayons. I love melting them, but that's about it, you know,
Right.
but because there you can't get any color. And so let's go into the color talk. Well, let's pull up the piece you're going to use for your cover.
Absolutely.
So you need color in order to emit frequency. It's really important. So when you have colors, when you have bright colors, and I love to use bright colors, there is an energetic that forms very, very quickly. And I'll tell you, when I started to work on this is a totem. It's on wood. It's with oil paint and oil pastels, and a little bit of China marker, the black there, to draw the figures. And what I love about working like that is I just play with the media. Like I try not to get too crazy about technical issues, you know, like I make sure that one thing isn't going to slide off of another,
Sure.
you know, like some media don't go together. But I really give myself an opportunity to have space to work in where I'm having fun. And so this is part of a totem series, and I'll pull up another totem here.
Yeah, by all means.
Let me see. Press this button, image.
Those colors are just so great. I just love your use of color.
Okay, there's another one. It's coming up. So the colors are really about the way I feel about life, you know, the aliveness. Did that one come up by chance?
Let me take a look here. I don't see it yet. I don't know if you want to have, I don't know if you have to remove one of those other ones or not.
Let's see.
And then if there's anything on your Instagram, obviously we'll be sharing that as well. And
you know what? You can definitely look through my Instagram. Let's look at this one.
Yeah. If you got.
Let's do a live.
We'll do a live. Here, everybody. There we go. Look at that. I mean, it's just, it really is something.
So this is a new piece. This is in the style of my work from the 80s and early 90s. And by that, I mean, I revisited that energetic. So there's definitely an energy here.
Absolutely.
And there's also a being, and there's presence. And for me, it's really important to paint presence and to paint the aliveness.
So, Darinka, when you do this, like from, just so people have some kind of insight, and because you're capturing the moment, is for that piece from start to finish, you know, with the paint drying, etc. Walk us through, like, how long did that piece take that you just held up?
I mean, for me, and it's on canvas, and I'm using, I think I actually used regular oil. So you can actually buy water-based oils these days, which is a real kind of interesting concept, like oil that's watery that you can use water with.
Okay, real quick, the psychedelic Picasso is what an artist code just said. They're great comments. It's like that's so what I felt when I started seeing your work. I love this. So go ahead. I love to bring up the live comments when they're relevant, especially.
Oh, absolutely, they're totally relevant. Thank you. I love hearing it because for years I've been in a silly way I go very public and then I go very private, and I do that a lot. And sometimes it's super necessary. It's also necessary to concentrate and focus. So when I start a piece like that, I'm tuning into the feeling that I'm feeling at that moment. I'm really not going like into Adventureland anywhere else. It's just like, what am I feeling? And I really don't know what it is, but I tune into it. With that energy, I start with just the black sketch. And by the sketch, I mean kind of the outline that's going to generate the general idea of the form. And then from there, I start painting. Now, I already had color fields that I wanted to use because this is based on work that I've had before. And I'm going to try to load that other work if we can.
Give it a shot.
Let's just try it because it seems.
And if it's, I don't know if it's on your Instagram, we can certainly look at it there, but I don't see it yet. And like I said, you may have to pull down one of the other ones that you put up.
Oh, I see. Okay. And how do I pull the other ones down?
Let me try. Oh,
There
here it
you go.
is. Oh
Okay.
my gosh, another one. Look at that.
So
Cool.
this is the era when these arrived. This was 1986. And these beings literally arrived. This color field arrived. Like for me, a color field is literally a world. Like it's a frequency. It's like
Right.
it's a vibrational space, you know? And so these beings arrived, and it was called the Mystery Dance. So there's her and there's another one. It's a much bigger piece, and you can find that on my Instagram and on probably, yeah, on Instagram, maybe on Facebook too. And the thing is about this is that this painting came out of just wanting to create the body, but not be stuck on any particular way that the body had to be. And I had gone through a very intense summer where I did figure drawing, which means you have a live model. It's really important to look at the body and to study the body and how it is in different places, but it's more important to study the frequency of the soul of the person. And by that, there is where you get your actual information of what is actually going on with that being, more than, oh, I can now see with my eye and draw the outline and get the form of this particular figure. So for me, it's never a figure, it's always a being. And so these beings came in on their own. I really didn't have a lot to do with deciding, except that I wanted to do a form. So I had ideas of proportion already, but as you can tell, the proportions are off. But the feeling of the dance, because it's called the Mystery Dance, the feeling is on. And so when you work with feeling and you have already developed some technical ability for seeing, if someone makes a pose in front of you, you could probably figure that out as a feeling. I kind of just did this in the mirror. So I got the shape of where the hand would be.
Right.
And then I just drew it. And I did it with oil pastel. It's called oil stick because it's a very thick oil.
Okay.
And then I start to just work with the oil, and the background and the characters and all that, they just come. And there's a very funny character down below. It's a fish, but has very long legs and it has some shoes. So I have a really good sense of humor in all my pieces. There's always something funny somewhere,
Right. Well, I love this is a piece you can, some art you can kind of grasp it relatively quickly, and with yours, the longer you stare at it, the more you see. And I love the different use of the size, because your brain is in a way trying to, I guess, make sense of it, but the fact in a way it can't, it keeps it wondering, and it's like this perpetual feeling you get from looking at your artwork. It really is incredible. I love this.
And the feeling to me is what also brings alive the love and the feeling inside people, because art has really been numbed and it's been abused so much in this whole, starting from abstract expressionism, and I love some of it so much, but it was literally paid for by the CIA, to be a new form of art in North America, in the Americas, right? And the thing is that artists need to express beyond politics all the time. And that's super important, because politics, they're going to come and go. But what art does, it's a conversation with the heart. And once you imbue a painting or a drawing with that conversation, it doesn't go away. That conversation is pure. If you did it in a pure flow, it doesn't age.
Very well said. Do you want me to bring up the next piece for you?
Yeah.
Okay, you got it.
So this drawing it's more of a drawing on paper with oil pastels. So this one I did in 1988 or 89, something like that. And I loved being able to tune in so deeply that I could feel a form arising. Wow. I just wanted to feel the form coming up out of itself, like out of nothing, It's a much bigger piece. It's a triangle. You'll also see that on my Instagram as the whole piece.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. The use of color, once again, I mean, I just, it just pulls you in, and there's just so much to look at here that you just can't grasp it in a short sitting. I mean, I can keep staring at this. It's so beautiful.
I have a few pieces where I actually remember friends of mine sitting on a couch across from them, and they're saying, okay, we're going to go have a trip. And they would literally travel in the painting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, here we go. Here's another comment. It looks like a tropical bird. Like I almost see leaves in the hair. I mean, just
Yep.
it's just.
I have
Wow.
to clue you a little bit. I was really into anthropomorphic expressions, like where the land is, you humanize the land, you know?
Ah, okay.
And I felt like I could see these large beings in nature all the time, like with the way the trees were shaped or a hill or something. And I would see them, like not see with my eyes, but kind of feel them. And then this is one that translated into a drawing.
Oh, absolutely.
So my very early work was a lot about going beyond what you're just seeing with your eyes and looking deeper and allowing. It's like, imagine visualizing without imagining. What is that?
That you're actually visualizing. You're
Okay, so what if you could visualize without using an image?
Mhm.
What if you could do it with, like, this is intersensory play, right?
Right.
What if you could visualize by allowing more of you to show up, like more of your energy?
Right.
What if that could be visualizing? What if it's not the eyes?
Right. Like your soul and like you're stepping into it and you're feeling all the components of it rather than just using your eyes for it.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
and you're allowing a revealing rather than forcing a knowing.
Right. Right. Well said.
It's very ethereal, yet if you look at life, it's mostly space. Quantum physics will tell you that.
Right. Right. I got to ask, because sometimes it's hard for people that know us or are close to us to either get or realize what it is that the artist is doing. Do your kids have an appreciation of the significance of your art, or are they like, oh, mom's just doing her thing? Like, do they get it yet after this many years? Like, because it's really incredible work.
I think both of my young adults love my work. I think they loved growing up in it. I don't think they understood because for them it was normal.
Sure.
And yeah, go to the next one too, the dream one, and I'll show you something in that, and I can talk to that.
Absolutely.
I believe that when children grow up in massive creativity, that becomes a different reality to them on another level. And also, it's not the only thing going on in a family's life, right?
Right.
And I did a lot of stuff before they were born. I had a 10-year career before my children were born, and I had a big 10-year retrospective that was called Orgasm, and that's where I met their dad. So
How fitting.
your life could be designed so immaculately by the universe that it can just knock you over the head. Like it's just
Wow.
so yeah, for them, I think it was normal. When my son was little, I was painting a very large exhibition in 1999. He was 1, and he was in my painting studio, covered in paint. He had his own paint, but he was painting on his body. I remember him being like, blue arms and stuff, and he was having so much fun. First he was on the paper, and next thing I turned around and it was everywhere, and I was like, oh well. So he has a very unique style and appreciation of finesse. He's got massive finesse and detail, and his work is very detailed. He also makes art. He draws. And my daughter, she's sensual. So she has when she expresses herself visually, she does like to draw people and things more like what she sees. Like she'll paint a landscape like in watercolor. She has a thing with light and sensitivity and sensuality and emotion that's imbued in it. So it's like they developed a language of their own, but they lived with this as a language. It's the best way I can say it.
Got
So
it.
if you expose your children to that language, and if it's your language, like creativity was a huge focus in our lives, obviously, and sometimes too much, you know?
Right. Well, I think if a parent is an artist, I would think that it gives permission and freedom for the child to go in that direction. Because parents usually, I would think, have a more of an influence than they realize, whether it is positive or negative. So it's interesting to learn about the impact that a parent's art has on the child, and it sounds like they're maybe more they're using it in their lives more now than they may have even realized they would when they were younger.
I think they were afraid of a few things like sustainability, you know.
Sure.
The art
Sure.
world in many ways it's a very volatile, and it's a conglomerate of a lot of bullshit, to be honest.
Yeah.
It's a conglomerate of massive talents and yearnings. It's so many things, and I was terrified about so much of it, to be honest. And I've had about 70 exhibitions, like internationally, and I kind of refused to work with galleries. I'm a very underground artist. I have been underground for most of my career, which wasn't great on the money side, you know. That part was difficult, and my kids saw that. So I lived that, probably more than I had to. I didn't want to sell prints, and everybody wanted me to sell prints, and I didn't want to take the time to organize it. I find it boring to be on computers, and I didn't want to do it. And I was just rebelling, I was rebelling against the system, even though my work is pure and it has such deep gifts to give. I wasn't giving it away, and it was really me that was holding it back. And I want to say this to every single artist: it's never the outside, it's always you. It's a hard pill to swallow, that one.
Right. Well said.
As soon as you release, as soon as you let it go, as soon as you say, all right, I really want to let this go. Yes, this is great. This is going. This is gone. Someone already has this, Someone shows up in your life, or you meet a collector or someone you want to meet. And it is beautiful when you really love yourself to that degree and love your creation, because when it comes from your heart, it's 100%, nothing
Right.
else. And you might not recognize that, but it's not up to you.
Right. Well said. Well, I do want to make sure that we showcase your Instagram page and your YouTube so people can see, the video that you've put out last
Yeah.
week.
Do you want me to talk about it a little?
I'm
giving away.
Yeah. So I'm just gonna
pull up what you want. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm gonna just have. Whoops. We don't want the commercial playing, so I'm gonna bring the volume down while this plays through here. Let me go to present. Yeah. Okay. Here we go. All right. There's this one.
Yeah.
And so this is called Poetry. In fact, you know what? I'm going to go back. So
this is the poetry.
I accidentally jumped out of the studio. There we go. Okay. So I wanted to bring up this YouTube page here. Okay, there we go.
So it's called The Smile Office. That's my YouTube.
Right. Here we go.
Because the heart is the Smile Office. So that's the name of my studio.
There we go. Okay, this is what I meant to do. So now we're not going to watch the whole thing, but there's the poetry is the one video I think you're going to be talking about. And then folks can obviously go through here and watch.
Those are art breath segments afterwards where I'm literally making art, and you just get your own paper out and you make art with me.
Very cool.
I'm just giving you inspiration, little words, reminding you to breathe, have your feet on the ground, reminding you just to keep coming back. As soon as your brain starts going, keep coming back. So that's what that is. So let me talk about the poetry, which I got one right here.
Yeah. No, do you want, we can make you full screen. I just wanted to show where you can find this. Okay. So here we Okay, go right ahead. We're set.
All right. So here is a little bag, and inside it, it has words. And those words came from you painting, painting on a piece of paper, could be something like this, anything, cutting it up, and then perhaps not with so much gooey stuff as this one, because it had a lot, more like this maybe. Cut it up, and you turn it into these little words. And with your heart, you ask, before you print each word, you cut up your painting, and with each heart message, you put the word that you feel at that moment. And you'd be surprised which words come up. So are these coming in the right way or the wrong way? Swimming, can you read that?
Yeah, that's the right way. Yep.
That's the right way, okay.
Yep.
So these are just a bunch of words. And they're words that came from your heart. They're your words. They're not other people's words. And you use this as a divination tool to keep yourself centered. So you've got tarot decks and all these things that other people have done. What if it's something that you did and you made? So you take this, you put it to your heart, you ask a question, and you breathe, and then you grab like a few words out. Let me ask. So I got wisdom, imagine, and wonder. I said, how could I best serve this moment? And then you can put those into a little poem. You can either write a poem about it, or you can take more words and assemble a little poem. So you got a little poem, like, with these words of your own. I find this the most accurate divination tool ever. You can say things like, why am I so upset? Why does this thing make me so upset? Put this to your heart. When you put something to your heart, you suddenly tune into a more coherent frequency.
Okay.
And then in that moment, you're also still for just a moment, right? And stillness is the important place where the information comes in, the inspiration, right?
Yes, for sure.
Point. And then you're pulling out these words. It's a random moment, apparently, right? And then, of course, it's exactly the answer that you're looking for. And you might have to play with it a little bit to get it to be the message that is meaning something to you. But each word is going to mean something because they're your words.
Right. Right.
And so the poetry, I find it's a gift. It's also the beginning of the art breath sequence where people just get comfortable with I used to make that poetry, I just used food color and a piece of thicker paper and a brush and some water. And in the video, you watch me do it. It's a whole journey, and you do it as well. So that's the gift of the poetry. And I just feel like it's important to make yourself go beyond craft. I love crafts, but I'm not a crazy crafter. I really love the expression of true things that you can really use and, love afterwards. So that's a gift. For the next, until June 30th, it'll be up for free on YouTube.
Oh, that's wonderful. It's so cool to take the gifts that you've been given and just having this conversation. Obviously people are tuning in and it's inspiring them to get in touch with their stillness so that they can, because a lot of times people don't know where to, either look or where to connect for inspiration at times. And that's what we love about our show is we cast a very wide net, because now what's called Scott interviewed Michael, who is part of Copy, where I played a show down there. Thank you to Carol Friesen. And so it's great to share the gifts of the people that Scott and I meet along the way in our travels now. And this, Carol basically introduced us, and then we went down and we stayed at but for the day we played in the waters and the river behind you, and then saw your art. And it's just cool to have this be not only inspirational for us, but to share this with our viewers. It's such a gift to be able to do this. And I don't know, it's really crazy that this is working out the way it is, because I love, helping people find inspiration and also being inspired at the same time. And that's what we're doing right now. So.
Well, you're very open-hearted, and I noticed that about you. And I was a little concerned because I thought, oh, is the show super political? Is it going to make any sense?
Not at all.
Then I said, oh, whatever. It doesn't even matter. You know,
Yeah.
it is because it's you. The show is you.
Right.
You know, the show is Scott. The show is Joe and Scott. That's the show.
Yeah, it really is. Yeah, there's times we touch on those subjects because we're just trying to make sense of the world. But what, you know, because there's a whole world opening up that's moving away from the direction, I think, of maybe where we started. Like, hopefully we're moving to a world where children are not trafficked. And so when that happens, we want to have plenty to pull from that showcases the beauty of where the world is going. And here's a perfect example of that. And I love that the viewers are relating to your artwork and having that same feeling that I got when I saw it. It's one of those things, and it's not about the numbers or what have you, but I'm just looking at your work, and I'm looking at art out there that's being sold for ungodly amounts, and I'm looking at your artwork, and I'm like, my gosh, this is the type of work that should be out there. What is this other stuff being sold for whatever? And so it's just an honor to bring your story and your magic in a good way to the world, and whatever, you know, because I know that sometimes it's hard to find truth stream for whatever reason, and hopefully this is something that is used and put out there, and more people can discover what you bring to the world through your art. It's wonderful. Is there anything else that you want to go over before we wrap this up?
Well, I started a project last year called MEMA, Meet in My Art. And it's an acronym, can mean a lot of different things. And I believe that starting this fall, I'll be starting international exhibitions with it again. So look for that. And there's this thing about the exclamation mark that I love, because
right. Yes,
I started to think about what would be the symbol for that everybody would understand and would get the message that it's happening now. You know, the present moment. So I got into a lot of these exclamation marks, and I drew them into all kinds of stories and things. So the whole point of MEMA is going to be that it's very interactive. Well, you're going to have to see them later. What I want to end with is with that everything is different and not everything needs to be the same. So this is also a piece that I was working on, and I did it in about 6 months ago. So it's not the same energy, but it's this incredible field this horse is in.
Absolutely. Love the colors once again.
Yeah, so the colors aren't as intense, yet they're coherent, right?
Right.
And that's important. It's the coherence that's important. So balance and coherence comes from your heart. You can learn stuff with design and color theory and things like that, like all the technical methods. But in the end, it's really about you. And one thing to touch on with quantum computing, see all these squiggles? Do you know that
Yes.
Quantum computers will start to store with symbols and not linear lines anymore? Because linear lines are not quantum. Quantum is the entire field. The arrow, right? The mist is quantum. So
Right.
just remember that we're coming into an era where we're going to have a new recognition of reality. We're literally in it. Some of us are already in it deeper than others in terms of energy and frequency. It's just like a radio station. You got to tune into a radio station that's closer to your own heart. And these kind of squiggles and things, I call them light language. I've done them for like pretty much the whole time, like 40 years. And they're like initiatory messages. They just need to come from a bigger aspect of me. And I want to really encourage everybody to let yourself just like, let things come out of you. It doesn't matter what it is, because if quantum computers can take a squiggle and have billions of bytes of information in it and put that together in just a form like that, obviously this reality is very different than what we're being shown, with our perspective, like very straight and arrow.
Well said.
So yeah,
Well,
just to show Mima, that'll be the next series of things you're going to see from me.
Okay. And then, and if folks are interested, I'm going to share your Instagram as well, so they can take a look at this and know, know what it looks like, because here it is. In fact, I follow this from the Truth Stream page. There we go. Now I'm following it from my personal page. But yeah, let's just go through a little bit. Scroll down.
Yeah, go for it.
Cool.
The being there on the left, there's the exclamation mark. The being on the left there at the top, go up a little bit more. That's called the goddess of the fifth dimension, and that's the light body, and it's an incredible piece to stand in front of and make sound. You start to your light body activates. So a lot of these pieces are activating.
Oh, that is so cool.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Sound is a huge part of reality.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, folks, you can scroll down this and you can just get, obviously, some of the works we've talked about are on here, as
and then
well.
There's a bunch of art breaths, and then down there's about 1,000 posts. So
Oh my God.
I did this one series, and then there's my little character from Christmas. So So what I want to say is, if you want to reach out to me through like either Facebook or Instagram, and if there's any projects that you're working on and I have work like with yours that would lend to that project, then we can collaborate. I'm also going to be publishing a lot of characters in the next while. So anyone who's got, blogs or like Substack or whatever, and you want imagery, let's collaborate, because let's get my imagery out this year. I think this is my goal.
Oh, absolutely. I want to share your Facebook page too, because a lot of folks watch on there. So give me 1 second so they can see that. Here it is. So there we go.
Yeah, I put that one up so that you guys would recognize it.
Yeah, so that's her on Facebook. There's how you spell her name, and then there she is, and there's the artwork for the show today. So yeah. Hopefully that gives folks everywhere to find you and etc. And I know you're working on a website, and we'll I'm
working on a book too. Like I'm working on kind of like a book that's like, it's called Art Breath, and it's about my life. And this book it's going to come in like sections, and I'm just figuring out where to put it so that people can kind of stream it and be in the story, because there's a lot of wild things that I've done and have happened to me. I've had art exhibitions in fields. I've done just really, and I'm talking about on the grass horizontally. Like I've had very different ways of communing with people in art. And yeah, if there's anyone that wants to work with prints with me, doing G-clay prints or any kind of prints, let me know, because I'm right now looking to collaborate so that it's not just me. Like I want to stay as the creative tsunami, and I want other people to do some of the things that they do well.
Beautifully said. Well, it's been such a treasure to have you on the show. And I don't know. I mean, well, obviously we're going to be coming back to Costa Rica, and thank you, Carol, for the introduction. And Heaven and Earth Sanctuary is so close to the people we're going to be having on the show. And it was a gift to meet everybody, and now to showcase the wonderful, amazing folks that we've met in Costa Rica. So thank you so much. And we'll have you back at some point, and we'll keep people updated.
Absolutely. Once we get a little more organized technically.
Exactly.
And lots of love to everyone. Thank you so much for being part of this new era that we're living in. My heart goes out to you, and just remember to get still whenever you don't know what to do. You'll know.
Beautiful. All right.
Thank you so much, Joe. You're awesome.
Absolutely. All right. We'll talk to you soon. Take care, everybody. Ciao for now.
Bye-bye.